too crazy with the whacking.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we've been working back on the 52 Chevy. This time we're going to be working on cutting out the floor and getting them ready for welding in a brand new floor. We're going to be putting in an 11 gauge solid piece of steel all the way across, as we don't need a transmission tunnel in the truck. But we're going to break this up into 3 parts. In this video, we're actually going to cut the floor out and prep the brackets for welding in the new floor. In part 2 next week, we're actually going to weld the floor in, and then part 3 we're going to weld the kick panel in on the firewall. So we have a lot of rusty metal to cut out of this truck on the floor, as it's looking like a Flintstone car right now. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove all this rotted out metal in here. There's a framework that runs right here, down along here. We're going to leave that framework underneath the sheet metal that's all rotted out. But we're just going to work on cleaning up all this edge here. We're going to make a piece that fits right along in here, all the way down there and back up and around. So this whole piece will be one big 11 gauge piece of steel with the framework underneath that we'll weld back down to. We don't need a transmission hump because the transmission is below the floor, which is absolutely perfect. So we're going to work on just cleaning up the steel, the sheet metal steel that's all rotted out, and try to get right down to the actual framework in the floor right in this section. Back here where the seat riser is, we're going to leave that right now. I believe we're going to keep the seat riser, as it will be handy to mount the new seat onto to keep the seat up a little bit higher in the truck so you can actually see maybe the front fenders from when you're sitting in here. We have a lot of headroom in the truck, so there's no point of sitting on the ground in this thing. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try cleaning up some of this stuff. We'll probably use the cutoff wheel to get out most of it. Then we'll use the grinding wheel just to clean up the tops and make it nice and clean for welding in the new piece of steel. This bottom section here of the kick panel on the firewall is going to get replaced too with 11 gauge steel. So I'm going to probably cut this up maybe about an inch or so right now just to get this bottom piece put in. Once this bottom piece is welded in place, then we'll do the kick panel right here. Then we'll work on the edge panels here and on this side over here. So the hardest part about doing this right now is just positioning the camera so you can at least see kind of what I'm doing, where I'm not in your way, because I'm going to need to be right here. It's hard to get on that side, so if I'm in your way, sorry about that. I'll give you an update once this is all cut up and cleaned up a little bit. So I've got a mask to wear because it's going to be really dusty. I've got hearing protection because the grinder is loud. I got some eye protection, wearing my gloves. So I'm just going to full send this right now and see how much we can get done tonight. All right, so I'm switching over to the actual grinder wheel right now. We're going to grind all this stuff on top of the braces. Once that's ground down on top of the braces, we'll make up a template that goes all around the entire floor, recreate that of the 11 gauge piece of steel. So let's get this put on the grinder right now and get to grinding. It should chew through this pretty easily. We'll see. tell, but it is freaking really smoky in here, just from all the dust we've been kicking up grinding here. So to give you a close-up of what we're doing. So I've got all of the main framework here and here all ground down nice and smooth all the way around here. I cut the bottom part of the firewall out so we have room to put the flat piece in here. We'll grind the access off after we pull the motor and pull the body off the car. So we're gonna, this is all cleaned up here. This is all cleaned up here. I gotta clean up on this side just a little bit more once I open that door up and get that sill plate out. Then we're gonna make some templates to go in here out of the poster board we picked up from the dollar store, which is right over here. I picked up some 6 sheet of this poster board that you use for like crafts and stuff. It's a little bit thicker than paper, thinner than cardboard, so it's gonna be absolutely perfect. 50 cents a sheet at the dollar store to mock up in here to get the actual angles we need in the corners right. So we'll mock those up in the corners, then we'll cut the piece of metal that goes right in here. We'll lift the truck up, figure out where we need to cut the shift hole right here. We'll drill a whole bunch of holes along the way here so we can spot weld the floor back onto these brackets all the way along here and here. Then we'll seam seal all the way around the floor underneath. This is all going to be covered with sound deadening as well to really keep the heat and the sound down in the cab here. So it's coming along pretty good. This actually came out better than I thought it would. So right now we're just going to clean all the scrap metal out of the cab that we cut out of the floor. We're going to prep the cross brackets and we're going to paint them. That's going to be wrapped for this video. Once the paint's dry in the next video, we'll fab up the entire floor. That'll be that video. And then the third video will actually be the kick panel for the firewall. So it's going to break down this into 3 shorter videos than 1 long dragged out video. So I'm just going to pull a lot of the metal scrap out of the truck right now, throw it in the garbage just to get stuff cleaned up. We're going to have to use a shop vac cleaning these brackets. I need to wire brush them. I need to prep where the bolts go to bolt the body down. I need to weld in some further supports in there. Then we're going to paint them with oil-based primer. That's going to be a wrap for this video. This is all the scrap metal that we cut out of the floor that's shot. More junk. I'm going to bring it a little closer now so you can actually see what we're working on. So right in here we've got this bracket right here. And this bracket here is the actual support. And we have a bolt going through here to the actual body support. So this actually had something up in here that the bolt would bolt through, but it's all rotted out. So we're going to clean all this stuff up out of here. We got a whole bunch of stuff we need to clean up with the shop vac in here. We're going to recreate the support right in this section here for the bolt to go through. Once that's done, we're going to do that on both sides. You can kind of see the bracket on this side that's still there holding the bolt. I'm probably not going to make it that tall because I want it to be a little bit shorter to fit underneath the floor, make it nice and flush. We'll add some supports into these, clean that up. We're going to clean this side up as well. And then we're going to prime with oil-based primer inside here. We're not going to prime the top parts because we do need to weld along these here. But we're going to paint all inside here because once the floor is put in place in the next video, we won't be able to get back inside here to paint at all. So we're going to clean this all up right now, get that painted. So we're going to use the shop vac here and clean up inside there. Use the wire brush, clean it up, and get that ready for welding in a support for the bolts. I'm switching shop vacs over to the 1-inch shop vac so I can actually get down inside there a little bit better than the 2-inch shop vac hose. So what we're going to do here is we're going to unbolt the body from the frame right here. Get that bolt out of the way. We're going to get this section cleaned up. We're going to weld in a new support in here with a hole for the bolt. Get that welded into place. Get this all wire wheeled down nice and neat. Prime it. This side will be done. Then we'll work on the driver's side. There we go. Right now there's this metal around here that we need to get out of here. Kind of nasty. So what I'm going to do, it's hard to get a grinder in here. I might try my oscillating tool to see if I can get in there to maybe take a metal chisel and smooth that out a little bit. We'll try something. So we're going to try this oscillating tool here. See if we can get in here to get this metal out. There we go. I'm gonna hit this completely with the wire wheel in here, get it all vacuumed out. We'll work on this bracket right here. Now I just need to worry about cleaning up the edges on both sides. Then we'll get this all cleaned up, wiped down with some acetone, I think. Get this bracket welded in here, and this side will be ready to paint. Then we'll do the same thing on the driver's side. So this is all cleaned up in here now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on our new bracket right here. I don't want it to be up too high here, because I want the bolts when it's in here to be flush or below the floor, which is gonna be up here. So I want the bolt to be still. I'm gonna have a little recess in here in the floor just to get a ratchet in there to get the bolt down. And I want the carpet to be nice and flat across here, so I don't want the bolt sticking up above the floor. So I'm thinking I'm gonna use some C-channel in here, cut it down so it fits over top of this, drill a hole in the center for the bolt. I'm gonna do the same thing on the driver's side. So let's get this piece cut right now and drilled and welded in place. So we need to measure how wide do we want this. I did 2 inches. So we're gonna make this 2 inches wide. I believe that's gonna be the same on both sides, so I'll just cut 2 pieces at the same time. Yep, 2 inches will work. So I'm gonna cut 2 pieces of C-channel for this right in here. So I've got the C-channel here that we used for the running board brackets. I'm gonna use this exact C-channel, cut it at 2 inches, just about 2 inches long here. And I'll probably shave it down. Right now it's about 1 inch, so I might shave it down 1/2 inch, just to give us some clearance for the bolt head. That. So we got 1 piece cut. We're going to do this one more time. Should match the first one spot on. Now we're going to work on shaving these down a little bit. Probably take a 1/4 inch off maybe slightly more than a 1/4 inch, just so they fit down inside those brackets a little bit nicer. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to cut these down so they fit down inside those brackets a little bit lower than they do now. So I'm just gonna figure out a good depth to take off of these. Might just take off 1/2 inch. They can be lower, that's not a problem. I'm gonna mark these right now. This will hold nice and secure. We'll just cut right along this line right here. This is what it looks like, all cleaned up. All we have to do is drill the hole in here. I believe it's a 3/8 inch hole, and then weld this into the passenger side. Then we're ready to prime that side, but we're gonna do the driver's side now. Might as well get this done while we're at it with the cutoff wheel. So now I've got both the passenger side and the driver's side ready to go. We just need to drill the holes in them. So let's mark them for drilling. So right here is where the center line is. That's the front of the truck. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure how far from the back. It's right there. So you need to figure out how far over do I wanna put this bolt. Doesn't need to be in the dead center. Probably have it more to the one side. There's a little bit more support on the edge here. Easier to weld these 3 other sides. So right there is where I'm going to be drilling the hole. So we're going to clamp this in place into the vise. There we go. We'll start with a small bit, work our way up to 3/8. Back to the truck and get this welded down into place. Alrighty, so we've got this. It's going to drop in right like that. I might actually just bolt that down just like that. And we know we'll be in a great spot. Shoot a weld all along the bottom here, along both tops, and try to get in on this side if we can. We should be in really good shape. So I'm going to put some painter's tape underneath these 2 holes that are right here, maybe some down here to keep paint from running all the way down inside. I'll tape off these top lips because we don't want to get paint on them. And then we're just going to prime the complete insides here. But while that's cooling, we're going to start working over on the driver's side now. So right now we need to actually get this bolt out right here, holding the body down to the frame, so we can actually redo that bracket just like we did over here on the passenger side. Once that's done, we're going to clean this entire thing up with the wire wheel, and then we're going to prime both sides. So somehow I need to cut this all along in here. I could use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, I'm thinking. I can get it on both sides and probably cut along there. Let me see if I got a cutoff wheel for my Dremel. Alrighty, so this is going to go in here just like this. That fits absolutely perfect right there. So I'm going to mark where we want this to be. Got it marked right there where we want it. Now let's go. I'm going to go drill it. I'll be right back. We'll get this welded in. There we go, all welded into place. So we're gonna let that cool down for a minute. So while this is cooling, we're gonna go back to prepping the passenger side for paint. One of the last things we need to do to finish up all the prep work for putting the floor in is we need to cut this lip off right along here, as we do not need it. And it's a little rusty, so we're just gonna cut right along the edge here, cut right along the edge here and get that lip out of here. Then we're going to acetone inside this bracket, acetone inside the driver's side bracket, and get everything primed and ready for welding in the floor. Got that all cut out, ready to go. We're going to acetone inside both sides now and get to priming. So right now we're going to take some acetone right here, and we're just going to wipe down all inside here and around, and we're going to tape off what we don't want to get paint on. This is just nail polish remover, nothing fancy, but it works good. So right now I'm going to tape up the top sills because I don't want to get paint on them, and I'm going to tape up a couple holes underneath the bracket just to prevent paint from dripping down below. This side's ready to go. We'll do the same thing over on the driver's side. We'll put some cardboard down just in case it does leak. I don't want to get it all over the master booster or the exhaust. Just like that. Good enough. There we go. We're ready to paint. Let's get painting. Got some foam brushes. This stuff works pretty good. I'm using the Rust-Oleum oil-based primer. You can see that. Just to add a little protection inside of this frame piece below the floor before we weld the floor on. Now we're going to flip around and we're going to work on the driver's side. All right, everyone, that's gonna be a wrap for this video. As you can see, part 1 of the floor replacement video is now done and ready for part 2. In part 1, we were able to cut out all of the old flooring and prep the brackets with some primer because we won't be able to get to them again after we weld the floor down, which is coming up next week in part 2. So as always, if you like this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button, smash that notification icon down below so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.